We are in the studio. Here we are in the studio and where we left off from a few moments ago. We brought everything back in here, and then we've got these Africa core vehicles that we primed and one non-Africa core vehicle. The ambulance. See if we can adjust this a little bit. Okay, so believe it or not, these and these are the same vehicles. This is exactly how these vehicles started. So it's a significant difference, but there's a lot of steps in the way. And I start off with gray colored vehicles because eventually these were gray colored. You know, originally these were gray colored vehicles. So, and you're back, yeah. So when I started this feed out in the garage, all of a sudden I got 15 people watching. Because it's vertical. And I'm like, and it happens every time I airbrush. But I'm like, I'm not an airbrush guy. So, you know, that's just one of those things. We're going to need the super readers. I don't know what it just suggests to a bunch of people on like Facebook or something like that. There we go. Hello. Or, you know, it suggests to a bunch of different people because they're on their phones. But anyhow, this ends up turning into this. Samarth, welcome. Cat Cow. Meow Moo. Welcome all. So we're doing this basically a live painting session of some of my Africa core vehicles. So this is what we end up wanting them to look like. And they start off looking like this. We just got done doing the primer gray. So we're going to set these things off to the side. And David, welcome. We're going to grab a color called green ochre. Now, green ochre is a color that Vallejo recommends as the base color of the Africa core vehicles. This. You have the same tanks at home, not in 1-to-1 scale. Mr. Troller, welcome. So what we're going to do is, to avoid a disaster, we're going to actually put the paint here. And then even though we're going to dry brush it on here, we're going to at least keep most of this stuff off of here. 41 live viewers. Like, why does that happen? If I was on my computer with a better resolution and a horizontal screen, I wouldn't get any of those people, but welcome either way. We're going to do something this is going to look like shit. I'm warning you. But it's how all these vehicles end up looking like. So if these turn out exactly how I want them to, this is one of the steps. And this is to take this Africa mustard type color, and we're going to dry brush it on top of it. And this could represent just a really fast, you know what, we're not going to use this. We're not going to use this brush. We're not going to use this brush. We're going to use, that one likes to shed. We're going to use this brush. Okay, so this is actually going to look kind of shitty. But what it does is it gives an irregular appearance to the paint scheme. And then we're going to do a brown wash on top of it. And then it's going to start looking more believable. Now I airbrushed these colors on top. You could dry brush you can dry brush those two colors on top and have basically the same effect. I was doing this before I had the airbrush. I've only had the airbrush I don't know, what, a year and a half, something like that. And it doesn't have to get everywhere, just like this. Man, we need some. There we go. Okay. I kind of discovered this by accident. I'm like, man, this looks like crap. Let's see if I can fix it. And then I'm like, nope. It turns out exactly how I want it to. And the cool thing is it's fairly easy to replicate. Like, I've been able to do vehicles. I've made 2 of them, both at the same time. They both came out looking consistent. Stopped 6 months later, did them again. They look like I painted them at the same time. That's what I want. I don't want vehicles that look better from one point to the next, or worse, God forbid. You have a bunch of things in your collection that look like they're painted by a bunch of different people. Elsie, welcome. And these are all 1/72nd scale. These happen to be 3D printed vehicles. So we do the vehicles for the desert a little bit different. They have significantly more weathering than the other ones. Tony Montana, no relation whatsoever. I've never come across anybody that speaks Spanish that has Montana as a surname. Maybe the person that wrote his character is just as bad a fake Cuban as the actor that did the accent. Say hello to my little friend. So we start with this. We go to this. We do a brown wash. Then we do dust up some other areas, and we end up with this. So it takes a while. It's all super simple, but it takes a while. As some people are like, man, I tried dry brushing it didn't turn out very well. Well, there's more than just like one color of dry brushing. Yep, that should be enough. All right, next hole. Now, Vallejo actually recommends this green ochre as one of the colors. That's one of the things I grew up when I was started painting in the 80s. Oh, as always, looking good. Hey, Jared. The Heinemann, welcome back. When I was painting in the 80s, the color of the paint, or maybe it didn't, but it seemed to me that the color that the paint was called was a big influence on what the paint was used for. The first acrylics I ever used was this company made by these paints made by Flocal called Poly S, and Poly S were the first acrylics I used. And like the color for the British was called Middlestone. The color that the Germans were supposed to be painted was called Armor Dark Yellow. It was a no-brainer. But now the actual color of the paint is irrelevant. You know, green ochre, you know, really, what is that? It's just arbitrarily named. You know, so if you paint if you go by name, there's a color called German yellow. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's the color I should be painting for Dunkelgelb. It's not. It's the wrong one. So there's a lot of pitfalls in the naming of colors. So, but the Viejo paint set for what Flames of War or whatever they do, this is the color they recommend for the Africa Corps. One of the colors. Overall. If you paint this overall, then you can't do anything darker than it. Right? You can still do black lining, but there's no like darker tones. So I don't like to start and paint something overall in a light color because I'm going to have to darken it up at some point to give it some depth. The cough is back. The cough, for no reason whatsoever, is back. Some more of that. And I like this method because, you know, are these vehicles that were painted yellow when they came to Africa? Or did they not paint them at all and they ended up picking up the colors from the environment? Or were they painted yellow before and as they got weather beaten, some of the original weather color, one of the original yellow color came off and some of the gray shows that they were originally painted? Or, you know, take your pick. It kind of covers everything, you know? If I recall correctly, their names in Spanish were often more appropriate, and it's the translations that kind of suck. Well, let's see. This is called Ocre Verde. So this is exactly the same. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's... I still can't get over that one color called Kanaki. You mean khaki misspelled? It's misspelled khaki. You haven't used Vallejo for years. What do you use? I first started using Vallejo because they were the first one I encountered that had the dropper bottles. And the dropper bottles, although they're not perfect, you get a lot better seal than you do on pretty much anything else. Jared, it's tomorrow where you're at, isn't it? Visiting us from the land of tomorrow. Lately, mostly Army Painter and AK. Army Painter behaves odd. The AK, if it's like this third generation AK, I like it. I like these. And sorry, it's backwards. There's nothing I can do about it with a live feed. I looked it up. I can, I guess, film it the other way, but then I don't know what's being filmed. That's no good. It'd be out of register. And I wouldn't be able to read your comments. That's no good either. I guess I could port it over here and then read your comments on the computer. But now we're getting too fancy. Certainly is Monday. I take it you don't have President's Day off. I don't either. That's a banker's holiday. Bankers and teachers holiday. I think that's what it is tomorrow. My wife has it off by mistake. They had the day off, and then the boss was like, "Why the hell do we have President's Day off? Like, people still have to work." I'm like, okay, well, she's going to be out of town. I'm really out of sorts to what time of day it is today. It feels like it's later than it is. But I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning with a headache, three something, with a bad headache. Took some Advil, drank a thing of water, which is probably what it was. I didn't have enough water yesterday, and ate a bunch of salty shit. And then just stayed uprightish, watching part of a movie that I had started at some at an earlier point, and it was like it ended like almost exactly the same time that I needed to get up at 5. So I've been up for a while, and I would have thought I would have gotten more done, but this just takes a long time. You just can't rush this. And I don't need to do multiple vehicles at one time, but if you're going to fire up the airbrush, make it worth your while. And now I got this cough again that just comes and goes. I think I got less clogging in my ears. I think I picked up something in Europe that came from Asia. It's not a big deal, but it's just like friggin' annoying. Like, but then last year I ended up spending a good bit of time this time of the year, like, oh man, got a bristle in there. Out, damn spot. Crapsicle. Is it? I think it's stuck in there. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't a bristle. No, I don't know what happened there. Which movie? The last bit of what's that thing called? Escape from New York. I can't remember if it was Escape from L.A. or Escape from New York. Pretty much out of dated trash. But I'm like, gotta finish it. Yeah, some of these bristles like stayed back here, and it's weird because I don't think it's these bristles. I'm not sure what's going on there. Got any movie recommendations? I got a chance to maybe watch one tonight. Yeah, that's the Kurt Russell one. Yeah, I think I started seeing it. I started watching it on the plane. I didn't get a chance to finish it the last little bit. Um, and of course, I watched it as a kid, not as a kid, but as a young adult, and I don't think I ever finished watching it. So when I was in Sevilla, they had um, an area where there was something that was being filmed, and the guy didn't really tell me what it was. And come to find out, there's a series of The Walking Dead that takes place. I mean, I haven't watched Walking Dead in years. I haven't watched Walking Dead ever since whatever season that the guy with the bat was on. I'm like, it got fucking stupid. And I don't really know anybody that watches it. Mitch used to watch it, so we used to talk about that stuff like that. And the spin-offs, I just couldn't. I don't care about the zombie part. It's really pretty crappy. But I didn't realize that they had made a whole Daryl spin-off thing. I guess, and that's the third season. They're filming the third season of his spin-off. I'm like, how the hell did he get over to Spain? But anyways, it's zombies in Sevilla, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how he mumbles in Spanish. In Spanish. I guess it sounds probably the same. Oh, I've seen Capitan a la Triste. And as a matter of fact, what place was it? In Madrid, there was a bar called Capitan a la Triste. I didn't love Capitan a la Triste. Um, I didn't like it. And it's funny because Spain makes such a big deal out of whatever battle that is. Oh, give me a second. Which is the battle where the tercios stood down and they eventually they didn't have to surrender. They just were allowed to walk off the battlefield. Is it Rocroi? Anyways, it's one battle like towards the end, and like they make a big deal out of that freaking thing, and it's like that is like that's like the beginning of Spain going to shit militarily. You know, like you should celebrate other things when they're on the up and up. You know, it's is it Rocroi? I think it's Rocroi. It's a 30 years war battle, and I'm like, yeah, that's already like they're already losing their edge. Just like I was talking to one of the guys that was the tour guide on our trip to Madrid, and he was saying that the two guys that are really he said the two guys that are really celebrated in Spain as heroes, as military heroes, are Alvaro de Bazan, and who was the commander of I don't know if it was, was he the overall commander? It was one of the. He was certainly the Spanish overall commander. I don't know if he was the combined fleet commander, but he was the guy that was the commander at Lepanto, and would have been the commander of the Armada had he not died like a few months before the Armada went off. So, anyways, he's highly celebrated, and the other guy that's highly celebrated is Blas Tereso, who is the one-eyed guy that fought the British at like apparently like really big odds in Cartagena. Well, Cartagena, that battle happened in the 1700s, 1720 or some shit like that. Like the Spanish were already like on their way down. I don't know why that guy celebrated so much. Maybe because he just had. I might have had one leg too. He might have been one-eyed and one-legged. But anyways, that's he says those are the guys that are celebrated a lot. I'm like, okay. I don't know. Similar to the Americans love the Alamo, and yeah, it was Rocroi. No X at the end. Although the Spanish the French probably do put an X at the end of it. Americans love the Alamo. Everybody fucking died at the Alamo. I mean, it's okay that, but you should celebrate the stuff that where you kick some ass too. I guess they do that here. It's like, oh, it's Pearl Harbor Day. How about the day where you drop the surrender on Japan? Drop the nuke day. I remember seeing it and I wasn't really impressed with it. And I don't know why. I didn't hate it. I just wasn't. It might be worth another watch. Is it on Amazon? Is it on Amazon US? Because you guys in the other part of the world get different stuff. I still haven't seen The Duelist. Everybody recommends The Duelist. I've never seen it. Although, if whatchamacallit sounds like he's from New York, I don't think I want to watch it. Harvey. It was funny though. Napoleon is really not liked in Spain. Like, really not. Like, you guys in Britain like him better than the guys in Spain. Like, I was surprised. Well, maybe I shouldn't be. I mean, hell, they already had French monarchs, but I guess Napoleon's not really a monarch. I don't really ever consider Napoleon a bad guy. I think of him as like an Alexander the Great. Like, he's not a bad guy. He's just a warmonger. I don't think he's a bad guy unless he's the one responsible for you guys driving on the wrong side of the road. I don't care about the metric system, but driving on the wrong side of the road, that guy needs to be dug up and hung, drawn, and quartered. I guess I can't drive in Australia either. Yeah, see, now I'm like, this is starting to come together. The one thing that surprised me though, when I went to Spain and there wasn't a whole lot of Picasso love. Thank God, because I would have had something to say about that. Picasso and ketchup. I can find some ketchups that I like. Like, usually something's called curry ketchup. I'm okay with it. I mean, it shouldn't be called that because it dissuades me from trying it, but I usually like it. I don't think I can find Cubist stuff that I like. Have you had any more games since the one you pull around the village church? No. The village church? What game did I do around the village church? I don't have a church. I should. No, I haven't done any games in a few months. They're coming. Desert game will be next. That's what we're building towards. Here's the other alligator clips. Speaking of these things, I was surprised how many versions there are of the Three Musketeers or the Four Musketeers. We'll lump those two together. I mean, there must be 30 versions of it, you know? Be right back. Got to coordinate some travel for this coming weekend. Ah, the chime of the dishwasher. Sounds like a fucking ice cream truck. That's saying it's done, but if you go and grab the plates, they're hotter than, lava. Very particular design. What? Maybe I was thinking about getting oh, I haven't played that church one yet. I was looking for a church. Yeah, that church is in that one scenario that has just all tanks. Yeah, I haven't done that yet because it involves getting more buildings. And there's several people that make an equivalent church. And the last one. And then we're going to have to give these guys a wash. And then we're going to have to stop after the wash because I basically can't do anything. A little bit more. You don't know what a relief it is to paint all the decals on yourself. You don't have to spend time looking for, I know I got a decal for this, and you can't find it, or then you find one and it's too old and it shatters, you know, or you misplace all your German crosses, which I did. I had these Skytrex decals for German crosses and I can't find them. Waste a lot of time cogitating on that. Okay, and now this one's done. All right, now we're going to go in reverse order because these are drier. This guy being the driest of them all. And give these guys a wash. Okay, this one should work fine. And the wash we're going to use, of course, is Strong Tone. And let's flip. Nope. Let's flip. Yep. Let's flip this over. Now, this is all the German vehicles I have for the desert right now. I might got a couple. I got a Kubelwagen or whatever that I can turn into that. This needs to be. This needs to have this treatment done to it. The bristles aren't together. let's make sure you neutralize it or we could have a disaster on our hands. That hasn't happened yet. All right, now go back to using the strong tone on there. This thing's going to look amazing. I just know it. And the only reason I'm working on this at the same time is my friend Jose surprised me with a bunch of stuff in Spain. I'm like, well, I might as well paint it. This resin that he's using is a bit heavy. No, I'll miss this and come back to it. Miss a spot. Okay. Like I said, this is starting to, again, the process to getting it to look like this. We're working our way over there. The brown wash. And I could probably make my own wash, but I'm already doing enough stuff. We need to sub some of this stuff out. And then we're going to have to wait for this to dry. It's the only thing I don't like about this process is I can't keep going. This is going to take however long this takes to dry. Good. Yeah, the Army Painter wash takes a good while to dry, especially with your Florida humidity, I should imagine. A couple hours. I also lay it down pretty thick. I was happy using the Agrax Earthshade, but they went up in price and changed their formula. You know, and their formula got sticky too soon. Yeah, I would imagine, I think it's pretty humid out there. It's been raining off and on, drizzling. I think there's a cold front coming. Or this is the cold front. ¿Qué pasó aquí? Oh, now you want to turn on? Okay. Turn this off so I can see the illuminated keyboard. Really? It's 61? That's pretty cool. It got up in the 80s yesterday. $61 now, and at 5 it's supposed to be 64. I guess because the sun comes out. Yeah, it's just dropping into the 40s. No big deal. I mean, I don't care what temperature it is at night. Make it cold. What's up, Justin? Nice fridge. How many bottles of beer can you get in there? Whew, there's none in there. There's beer outside. But man, it's the beer in Spain that I really liked. It's got 2 ice makers. Yeah! America! And as soon as you get a second fridge, man, it's hard to not have another fridge in the garage once you have one. And we had one. We had to redo our house, the other house, and when we did the house, we ended up getting new appliances, and we just brought we put the old refrigerator in the garage, But we took this garage refrigerator back with us, anyways. So it's a no brand one, the one that's outside. I don't even know what the hell it's called. Never even heard of it before, but it's like it's just to have out there. It doesn't have the ice maker, doesn't have any water connected to it, but it's been snowing 4 days straight. Wow. Lucky you. Nah, it's probably a pain in the ass. You got to go to work. Let's pull. Come on, where's my mouse? Yeah, it says it's still raining. We had like a last week the pollen. Anytime it's like in the wintertime or around this time of the year and it warms up, man, the fucking pollen goes nuts. It's just like, everything's like yellow. Yellow dust everywhere. Two fridges and a deep freeze. There you go. That's for your hunting meat, right? And I couldn't tell you how many times people go, "Hey, you want to go hunting?" I'm like, no, I go hunting in the grocery store. I don't have anything against hunting. It's just not my type of thing. I wish they would just hunt child molesters or something like that. I mean, I don't want to eat them. That's Jeffrey Dahmer territory. But I don't have a problem with people hunting them. Otherwise, it'd be even more car accidents. I've just never had, I've never had wild meat that tastes worth a damn until I had elk in Canada. That shit was great. That shit was great. It was elk on a pizza, actually. It's freaking great. Western Canada. And one of the guys, we ended up doing a snowmobile tour when we went out there. And our guide was definitely like Canadian mountain man type guy. And he's like, lived off the grid and said he said he had weapons. Shh, don't tell anybody. Um, Snow's falling so fast, I can't see the neighbor's house. Wow. Don't turn on the heater. I just can't deal with it being dry. That's all. I can handle the cold. It actually makes me happy. I love wearing long sleeves. Boar meat or bacon is good. You know what I read one time, and this really surprised me? That all the wild boar that's here in the Americas, it's because my people got drunk on freaking wine and let them loose. Like they got away from them. That's crazy. I find that hard to believe. That's what I'm scared of in the freaking woods. I'm not scared about people or snakes. Freaking boar, man. You gotta have something. If you can counter one of those, you gotta have something big enough to knock one of those down. And that thing can. pistol rounds are like, it laughs at pistol rounds. But at least you can climb up a tree. If you're in bear country, you're fucked. You know, you better like have like some belt fed like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to throw at it. What's your nationality, if you don't mind? You haven't come across that yet? Okay, I'm American. Dad came over. Dad came over from Cuba in 1960. So did Mom. For obvious reasons. And my great grandfathers came from Spain, both sides. Great grandparents came from Spain. So they were in Cuba for, what would that be, 2 generations? And then here. And my wife's the same thing. And yeah, I have a very small family, so there's like no reason for me to go to that fucked up island. Like I refuse to go. I'm like I'm not going there. Besides, we come from fucking Spain, and Spain was fucking phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I can't wait to go back. That's how phenomenal it was. Because the history here in the Americas is bullshit. It is sucks. I'm proud to be American, but the history here is trash. I knew that even before I went to Europe. There's trash history here, or I'm not interested in it at all. Let's put it that way. Mama pigs in breeding season can be real nasty. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So my dad literally, like, there was a time period where they let him leave, but you couldn't take anything with you. So like he wasn't allowed to take like his wedding bands, no cash. I mean, it's like it's hardship I don't know what I would have done. It's just kind of hardship that I've never experienced. And fortunately, I didn't have to be born there. But yeah, so I don't like anything that smells of communism. You know, don't be marching with red and black flags or shit like that. Don't put your fists in the air. Stuff like that just, it rubs me the wrong way. Don't wear your Che Guevara shirts. Spain was incredible, you know. You have family in Spain? I do not. No, my family's super small. So, let's see. My dad was an only child, and so was my mom. So I have no uncles. My wife has distant family in the Canary Islands, but hey, if you go to another country and you like it there and you don't have family there, guess what? That means when you go to that country, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to go visit family. Besides, the bigger your family is, the more chances are there's somebody in that family you don't like. Right? I mean, it goes without saying. And one thing I really liked about Spain and Britain is both places I didn't encounter anybody who was like not proud of where they were from. There wasn't like, oh, well, we need to take down statues of Wellington and shit like that. Like, fuck you, like, okay, you know. I mean, sure, all these historical figures did some bad shit by today's standards. But you know what? It's the standards of the day that are what they should be judged by. You know, and you go places and they have Union Jacks in places, and you go to Spain and they got the Spanish flag places, and it's cool. It's not. I wasn't expecting that. Message held for review. What? Another moderator just handled this. One asshole cousin. That's one ass. Yeah, somebody's, you're going to have people that you're not going to like if you have a big family. Or, you're going to have somebody in your family that's going to, want to wear your wife's. You're going to have one uncle that's going to want to wear your wife's heels or some shit like that. Like, it's better to have a small family. Oh, man. So I'm always surprised somebody who's a war gamer in Europe, and they're interested in the American Civil War. I'm like, why? Why? Why on earth? Why would that interest you? Maybe they just really like sideburns. Not sideburns. What are those things like? Yeah, what was the name of that guy? They ended up naming that Union general. They ended up naming the freaking hair, the beard style from that, like the floating sideburns or something like that. There's some horrible hairstyles. Your dad's side came from Poland, Greece, and French. I'd visit all those places. Man, there's some bad stuff that's happened in Poland. Really bad things that have happened to those people. Greece would be cool. Of course, can't read it. Oh, come on. Stop laying down on the job. How to do a quick lookup of Cuban political flags. It's not the first time you've mentioned red and black because I associate red and black with Spanish anarchism. Well, Vallejo, okay? Vallejo recently, last couple months ago, they protested. They had a big protest and went on strike because their conditions where they worked were bad. Like their roof was falling in and they were underpaid and all this kind of stuff. And I am not a pro corporate person, okay? Because I've seen just recently that you know they're just bankers fucking everybody, right? They have no like ownership. It'd be like if I was just doing this for the money, and I didn't give a shit about World War II stuff. Like their heart's in the wrong place, okay? If they have one. But anytime I've seen, I'm sure there have been some, but I haven't seen them. Anytime there's a protest, the protesters or strikers always go about it in a way that makes me really difficult to support them. And in the case of Vallejo, they're marching down the freaking road with all this communist memory. It's like, I get it. Your working conditions are terrible, and yes, they should do something about that. However, in a communist country, your working conditions would be worse, and be paid even worse. So that's the wrong banner to have with you. Mom's side came from Germany and England. Your last name is Greek? I thought it was like Slavic or maybe like Finnish. That's actually what it sounded to me. It sounded like a Finnish last name, Subaka. I don't mean anything bad by that. Finn's got cool last names. That's how I thought it would have been. Chewbacca? No, no, not Chewbacca. There are some bad last names you could have, and I don't think anybody here has them. But um, there's somebody I used to game with, and their girlfriend's last name was Cucaracha in English, Roach. That's a terrible last name. I mean, unless you like bugs. I think roaches are, worse than ketchup. I cannot stand roaches, palmetto bugs, call them whatever you want. That would be a terrible last name to have. That means dog. Your name means dog in Russia? No. There's a little Russian store in St. Petersburg called Vladimir's, and it's super cute on the outside. And I've been in there. I went in there one time, and there was an old crone in there that looked like she'd spent some time in the gulag. She was not happy. But there's some cool things in there. But I wonder if their business is really tanked because of you. You know what? And it sucks because they probably don't even like what's going on over there. There's a reason why they don't live in Russia. You know, there's a reason why they don't live in Russia. Okay. These guys need to dry. Your last name is big in Polish. I want a subaka-sized kielbasa. Yeah. So without hand sanitizer, this would be a pain in the ass because this wash stuff, and same thing with the Vallejo primer, is a pain to get off your hands. But this just makes it a breeze. Ooh, there's that cut. I somehow sliced my finger open with like a paper cut like thing, but it was like on a plastic um, bucket. Weird. It must have had like a sharp edge. I didn't even feel it yesterday, but today it's healing, so it's like, oh, stingy. Just catches you off guard when you don't feel something, and it's like, there you are. That's what the ladies say. Of course. Of course. All right. So it is 4 o'clock. We'll be back around 6 or 7 to pick up where we left off. This stuff will have chilled out, and I'll probably go vertical again because I got a lot more likes and a lot more people came by. So some people are seeing this channel, I guess, for the first time. I don't know if they're hobbyist people or they're just passers through. But anyhow, thanks for coming by, and We'll be back in a couple hours. See ya.